Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, Dale Lolley, and Matt Williamson getting you ready for the NFL Draft on a position-by-position basis. I'm with the DVE Morning Show and Steelers.com. Matt and Dale come to us from SNR, where among their duties, The Drive, a show that you shouldn't miss if you're into the Steelers and the NFL. And hey, if you're tuning into this, you're probably into the Steelers and the NFL, or you just maybe hit the wrong key. I don't know. But we've got the wide receivers to talk about today, fellas. And like a lot of positions, Dale, seems like last year there was a lot more of a wow factor attached to some of these positions than there is this year. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some really intriguing candidates available to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the position here of late that has kind of been taking a starring role in recent drafts. In fact, the last two NFL rookies of the year, offensive rookies of the year, have been wide receivers. So now the expectations are that you're going to see these guys step right in. It used to be, and Matt can back me up on this, there was always a 3-year rule when you took wide receivers, that it took them until that third year to kind of really come together as a player. So many of these guys are stepping in now and becoming instant contributors, and not just contributors, but stars. That's now the expectation. I don't know that there's that guy in this draft. There's some really good ones, but I don't know that there's the next Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase in this draft.
Matt Chase is a good guy to talk about because I remember a year ago, one of the philosophical discussions leading into the draft was whether the Bengals at number 5 should take a weapon for Joe Burrow or protection for Joe Burrow. Now, I'm not here to say what they did was right or wrong, but the facts are these. They drafted Jamar Chase, and they played in the Super Bowl. Does that change maybe the way teams think about how to build around your quarterback?
I think it does. I mean, I think there's been a growing, thought process of, if I can put 5 offensive linemen out there that are adequate, average, not a glaring hole, and I can have weapons galore, I'm harder to play against than the other way around. And I think that's changed over the years. I'm not 100% on board with that philosophy, but I think there's a strong case for it. Just give me all these weapons that the people can't cover. And to Dale's point, there's just been so many good receivers year after year, day 2 guys that are stars, that are really just been an influx into the league lately.
Yeah, it's an intriguing position this year as well. Let's get into it. Dale, why don't we lead it off with you? You're number 5, Chris Olave from Ohio State, which I think there's about 17 excellent receivers on the Ohio State team this year. There was actually 3 that stood out, 2 that are available in the draft. But you've got Chris Olave, number 5.
Yeah, not the biggest guy, Mike, but he should test really well. He runs well, catches the ball well. It does everything as well as there's a lot there to like. I kind of look at him and see Terry McLaurin very much so. And remember, McLaurin was a 3rd-round draft pick when he came out a couple years ago with Washington. This guy does a lot of those same things. He's just makes a lot of the first down catches. He's always open. There's just so much there to like, but it was really hard to put him in my top 4.
He's 5 for me as well.
You've got him number 5. I was going to say, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I like him an awful lot. I don't have a lot more to add than what Dale said, except for, he is a little lean. He can get pushed around a little, but he's a tough guy to find negatives on. He can nickel and dime you as a route runner. He can get over the top. It seems like he's been at Ohio State forever. I don't mean this as a negative at all. I think he's a high quality number 2 NFL receiver.
I've got him a little higher than you guys. I watch a lot of Big Ten ball, and this guy has been there forever, 4 years worth. And the threesome this past year, Jackson Smith, Najigba, Garrett Wilson, who we're going to get to, and Chris Olave. Olave actually had the least amount of statistical production in terms of catches and yards, but something about this kid, he is so silky smooth. He just looks effortless when he's
just always open.
Well, that too. He's like 7-Eleven that way. I've got him all the way up to number 2 here for the early look at wide receivers. My number 5 is Jahan Dotson from Penn State. little water bug guy, 5'10" and 6'8", 175 pounds. I just see him as a guy who can run all over the field and get open and catch the ball and keep running. I'm intrigued by him. He is a definite complimentary type piece, but he's really good at being that. And
I've seen a lot of people compare Dotson to KJ Hamler from a couple of years ago. Dotson to me is much more of a traditional receiver, bigger catching radius, go over the middle. I had a hard time leaving him off my list. I mean, he was like 5'8" for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 4, Dale, you've got Jameson Williams from Alabama. Matt and I have Drake London from USC.
Yeah, I mean, Jameson Williams to me could have been number 1 in this class if he didn't tear his ACL in the national championship game. The amazing thing is he began his career at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And transferred
we
to
just
Alabama.
Explain why he had to leave.
Right. He decided to get out of there so he could go compete with Judy and Ruggs and Waddle and Devontae Smith.
I mean,
he came in after those guys. He was only there 1 year.
It's just amazing to me that, you don't see guys making that kind of move, going from one high profile program to one that's probably even a little more of a high profile program and becoming a star. And that's what this guy did. I mean, he's got the size at 6'2", basically 190 pounds. Again, always open, has the deep speed, has the agility. Again, that torn ACL in the national championship game, how long does that hold him back as a rookie? Maybe, until midway through the season, we'll see. It'll probably take him some time, but boy, whoever gets him, if he goes that far down in the draft to be my number 4 receiver, you're getting a bargain. I know you're not going to have him right away, but you could be getting the best receiver in this draft.
A couple notes on Williams, if you guys don't mind. I mean, he's kind of like that AJ Green body type, maybe not quite as tall, but long and lean sprinter body type. I mean, it's obvious that he was a sprinter / hurdle guy. But a couple things I found out about him and really digging into him, which I shouldn't have been shocked because, Bama guys are competitive as can be. This dude was ejected from the Auburn game for a targeting penalty. But when he was on punt coverage, he's a good returner. I mean, he runs down the field and hits people. I mean, and he doesn't even look that way. He's a long, lean guy.
That's a great note. I bet Saban wasn't happy about it, but I'd give him a helmet sticker for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Matt, let's stay with you because you've got Drake London at number 4 from SC as I do. And I looked at this guy, and the more I look at him, I tend to cool a little bit. He's not what you'd call smooth and athletic, but the production is there and he's got great size.
Yeah. I don't know how well that translates to the NFL, just being bigger than everybody and winning contested catches, because he's not a great separator. I am excited to see his combine. I'm sure he'll jump well. I'm more interested in his change of directions and some of the drills. He's huge. He's obvious basketball background, like we talked about Williams with a track background, and plays that well. I don't know that he's Mike Evans though.
That's going to be the comp, and
yeah.
I think if he runs sub 4.6 at the combine, that's good enough for me. I mean, I think he's got some Plexico Burress like traits.
Yeah, that's he did actually play some basketball at USC, so he knows how to body position and all that contested catch stuff that you were referencing. Matt's got Williams of Alabama at number 3. Dale, your number 3 is London. Mine is Garrett Wilson of Ohio State. Again, these Ohio State guys were somewhat interchangeable to me. What stood out to me about Garrett Wilson, and you guys have him higher than I do, Matt, I think he's number 1 on your list.
For me. Yeah.
He's one for me too.
Yeah, you've got him number 1 as well. Man, when they throw him the ball, I can't remember if I wrote this or not, but what was going through my head was, boy, he catches it and it stays caught. It's like the ball, it's like his hands are Velcro or they're magnetic, and the ball just finds his hands and is locked in. He's got that vice grip catching style where, that's job 1. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
You can run really good routes, and you can body position and blah, 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 and blocking and running. You got to catch the football when they throw it to you. This guy does that really well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether he's covered or not either. I mean, he's really good at the contested catches and going up and getting the ball. I think he's a pretty safe prospect. I think he's going to have to work on his route running a little bit, but who doesn't, at the NFL level? They aren't going to be as open as they were at Ohio State.
Yeah, you guys are 100% right on him. I was torn between my top two, but I think he's kind of the Odell Beckham mold of receiver. Rare athleticism. And for people that want to, kind of get a thumbnail on Garrett Wilson, I'm sure there's a YouTube clip of his highlights and you'll just be jaw dropping. I mean, his highlight catches are remarkable.
I'm amazed given, some of the players they had. I'm still amazed Ohio State lost a couple of games this year. When that offense was cranked up and they had it going, it was breathtaking. I mean, they could just throw it all over the field and one guy after another making plays. It was something to see. Treylon Burks of Arkansas is another interesting guy. Matt, you've got him at number 2, as does Dale.
Yeah, almost 6'3", built like an A.J. Brown, Julio Jones type. I mean, maybe even heavier than those guys. Breaks a lot of tackles, hit him on a slant, shrug off a corner, and take it to the house. I think he'll get carries in the NFL. He's a little raw, particularly as a route runner, but boy, he's competitive and there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, he had his best games last year against their top competition. If you looked at it, he had 9 catches for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns against Alabama. He had 9 for 109 and 2 touchdowns against Auburn, and 6 for 176 against Texas A&M and a touchdown. So you can't say that this guy's, just compiled numbers against, the bad teams not that there are a lot of bad teams in the SEC, but he had his best games when they were playing against their best competition.
Matt, you mentioned the running game aspect about getting carries. Are more people going to try to find their version of Deebo Samuel?
I think so. I mean, that just causes so many problems. Like, for example, and it's all about a numbers game. Like if San Francisco doesn't put a traditional running back on the field and has Kittle, Kittle, Juszczyk, and 3 receivers out there, you're always going to get nickel. You're always going to get dime. And then they put that guy in the backfield and just run traditional routes, traditional running game right at you with Kittle and Juszczyk blocking and 5 offensive linemen. You can find those guys. It's pretty valuable. Even a Percy Harvin type from yesteryear,
Dale, you buying that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to see more teams do it until defenses figure out a way to consistently stop it. That's just the reality of the situation. And, Burks is the perfect type of player to do that. I mean, he's 232 pounds. That's a big dude running at the wide receiver position. Matt compared him to A.J. Brown, but you could very easily compare him to Deebo Samuel, just taller. I mean, I love Deebo Samuel coming out of Auburn.
Yeah, I was fascinated with the way they decided to use him in San Francisco this year, and I'm real curious to see what kind of ripple effect it has. I'd be looking for one of those guys if I was in a position running it.
As long as he doesn't get broken.
I mean, finding out it's physical enough and the ball security's not a problem. To Matt's point, I think it's a phenomenal mismatch. And hey, you can always check out of it and do something else. You
throw the football.
Still go empty. Yeah, right.
Wonder, probably pretty good in the flat if it came to that.
Well, and the thing is, you have to find a guy like Deebo Samuel, who was a college running back as well, who transferred, or made the move to wide receiver. That helps, so he had some of that skill set. I imagine a lot of these guys were probably running backs at some point in their careers.
At some point, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe high school.
They were the best guys on their roster, and they made them, they hit the ball in their hands all the time.
Yeah. Good stuff, fellas. I want to remind everybody that you can find all of these types of shows on all the Steelers' social media platforms. We're going to keep working our way through the NFL draft position by position. We will periodically update you on how we see round 1 shaping up. We're going to do all of that right up until the draft. So thanks for finding us, however, and wherever you found us. Please continue to do so. Until next time, for Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. This has been the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC.